mollusks, and they nailed it. What mollusca? Phylum mollusca. Their AKA is soft. Actually, I'm pointing to you guys. It wasn't you. It was you guys. I know that one of the groups said it. It's weird because you look at their shelled organisms. So to come up with the AKA being soft, think of what's inside. Okay, that's what makes their AKA or where they come from. There's 3 groups: gastropods, cephalopods, and bivalves. And I put an example of one of each of the groups. So you've got a snail or a slug, a squid or an octopus, and a clam or an oyster. So you can get an idea of who falls under which of the categories. Symmetry. They are actually radial as babies, and you can kind of see where that would come from. But they're also bilateral as adults. So they have complex symmetry. Their habitat could be in the land or the water. They reproduce sexually and asexually. I'm sorry, they reproduce sexually, but can be hermaphrodites. And they have cephalization, as you can see right here. If I was circling that. See their head? Yes. Anatomy. All right. So they are omnivores, which means what? Do you remember? They eat plants and animals, so they're like us, and they have a full digestive tract. So they have a mouth and they have an opening where food enters and an exit for food. They also have a mantle, and this is what makes their shells. So although they're known as soft bodies, they obviously need some form of protection, and that's important to know. So they have this structure that allows for their shell to form. And you guys all nailed this. They have, for feeding, a structure called a radula, and it's basically like a drill. It has a pointy end where they could use that to scrape their food. So it zooms in, and then it has like a pointy end, and you can see it right here. I'll circle the structure. That's what it looks like. So it's like a drill and a scraper. See my purple urchin matches? Or echinoderms, aka spiny skin. That's what their AKA is. And Brian did a great job of showing how each one has spiny skin. I think we have like similar pictures too. That urchin inspired my whole purple slide. So they examples are starfish and sea urchins. They are radial, but some show bilateral symmetry. They mainly live in the marine environment. They reproduce sexually and externally, and again, that was described beautifully. And they do not have cephalization, but we could draw cephalization on one of them. So my echinoderms are carnivores, and they have a full digestive system. And what you have to know about this digestive system is 2 things. This system is called the water vascular system. So they actually use the ocean water to help them feed. And then they have these structures called tube feet. And even though they're mainly for movement, it also assists in the feeding. They're like little suctions. So if you ever see the bottom of a starfish, you see those little suction tubes. That's what they're referencing. Arthropods or arthropoda. Jointed legs is their AKA. And they are bilateral in their symmetry. You could cut them down the middle and get mirror images from them. Alright, so of all the phylums, arthropods are the largest animal group on Earth. They do divide into 3 main groups, as was mentioned earlier: insects, crustaceans, and arachnids. And within those, there's thousands of organisms, so we're going to just generalize them. They reproduce sexually, but somewhat. But some don't, actually. They just know that they reproduce sexually. Oh, actually, you don't even have to reference reproduction to specific phylums. So they have cephalization. All right. This is my, what group? And they live on land, mostly, I would say, because, you know, there's some exceptions, but crustaceans, sea, aquatic, and so they're every type of feeder, which means they feed off plants, animals, and they also feed off remains. So that kind of puts them in another category. But they are our major source of food, like lobster, crab. Think of that. I don't eat grasshoppers, but some people do. Major source of food for all animals. They're definitely in the bottom of the food chain. Is really what they're trying to say. And they have a full digestive tract, as you see right here. See? End of story.